People, that is my garage on a truck. Can you believe that? All that lumber is going to end up being my garage. It's crazy. And honestly, I couldn't believe they fit all of that on one truck. It was a little nuts. So this guy was the nicest guy in the world. You want to have him over for dinner once a decade. He was just, he'd do like 5 minutes of work and then he'd talk about the 5 minutes of work. And, he was awesome though, because he took off each part, each package, and asked me where I wanted it, what it was for, when I would need it. And he really took the time to set me up for a successful building year. I mean, because I don't have a forklift, so I can't move these piles around. And so over the course of the next 2 hours of unloading, we figured out exactly what was in each package and what it would be used for and where best to put it. And so it was really awesome. And I would wish this guy on anyone who had to get a delivery of lumber, because I wouldn't have thought of that. I would have been like, get it off the truck so I can start building. But then the 2x12 by 20s would be 40 feet away from the garage, and it would be a pain getting them over there every single time. So yeah, it took a little while, but it was way worth it. I think we packed the lumber in pretty tightly, and thinking back because I'm making these videos after I build this, after I've built the garage, the piles were all pretty much in the right spot. So, yeah. So, number one tip: think hard about where you're placing your piles of lumber. So I put all my super long, I had like 42 2x12 by 16s, which is what he's unloading right here. I put these as close to the middle of the garage as possible, so right on the slab. And the reason was because I had 42 of them, and because they were the second heaviest piece of lumber I had. So we got those right in the middle of that slab. And let me tell you, when I was building it, it was nice to only have to move them like 10 feet and then put them up. So the other thing I would definitely say remember to do is get your plywood close to the building, if not in the building. I mean, the downside to putting stuff in the building is that you have to work around it. So, be aware that you're going to take up your space in the building by doing that. But luckily, by the time I needed the space in the building, I had already used the lumber, the material. So yeah, this was a humongous stack of plywood. You would not believe how heavy that is. But yeah, get the plywood close to the building. Get the 2x12s, the 16s, and the 20s. Get those close to the building. 2x6s. I mean, if you're 2x6 studs on the outside walls, there's a lot of those, so it's nice to have them close to the building as well. But your 2x10s, your 2x12s, if you're using those for roof rafters, I'd say put them on the fringe, put them farther away, because by the time you're getting to the roof rafters, you've used most of the other material, and maybe you could borrow a set of forks and get them on a tractor, just to move the pile around. I mean, that's what I ended up doing. Is by the end of the project, I had a buddy at work that had forks, and I borrowed them to move the piles around. So the wood arrived yesterday. Well, the guy showed up at like 6 o'clock. It was a Friday, and he had a forklift on the back, hanging off the back of his truck, and we picked it off pack by pack, and he was gracious enough to figure out which we were going to use first and place that closer to the garage, and he took the time to let me figure out what was what and where it should go. And so we've got all of that stuff in proper places. The joists, which I have a lot of and are pretty heavy, are right on the slab, and then but more joists right next to them. We've got all the 2x6s for the walls right there in front, the sheathing right here. Over here, this is the rafters, and that's more rafters, and these are joists and rims for the top floors, so they'll be used later, so I wanted them out of the way. So hopefully today I'm going to be starting. I was hoping on starting last night, but it was 8 o'clock when the guy left, so yeah, so today we're going to build a wall down there, maybe, hopefully.